Inscryption, developed by Daniel Mullen Games and published by Devolver Digital, is a roguelike horror card builder with an interesting story to it. It's an ARG, or alternate reality game. Before I explain the story, I would like to introduce the characters. First is Leshy, the first person you see once you open the game. He acts as the game master, which he also enacts all the bosses and passing characters with their own mask. Next is you, the player, or what I say, the Luke Carter. You, the player, is merely an observer, while the actual player is Luke Carter. Some talking cards such as the Stoat, Stink Bug, and Stunted Wolf, which are there to help you beat Leshy. And the Scribes, people that have the power to create cards. Leshy is one of them, as the Scribe of the Beast. The other three are Grimoire, Scribe of the Dead, PO3, Scribe of the Technology, and Magnificus, Scribe of the Magic. The other three scribes were once the talking cards. Now for the story. The game is broken up into 3 acts, the first being the continuation of the game. You realize that you cannot start a new game as there is already a save file there, so you continue the game and you're greeted by Leshy. Leshy teaches you how to play the game, assuming that you forgot how to play. As you play, you realize that one of your cards is talking to you, the Stoat, which he asks you to help them escape. The conversation is cut short by Leshy, and you have no other choice than to play the game. You get overwhelmed and don't stand a chance, as your candles, which act as your chances to live, are all snuffed out, and you lose. Leshy reaches out to the player, which then the screen goes black. You wake up in a room with Leshy looking at you, still hiding his body. Before killing us, he allows us to create a memento using the cards on the deck and giving it a title. Once complete, he praises the card and takes a portrait of us, which is then translated into the card. This cycle continues every game. The second time, however, Leshy allows you to stand up before a battle, to look around the room. This gives the game an escape room feel. As you look around, you find things that you can interact with, puzzles, etc. While looking around, you find other talking cards, the Stink Bug and the Stunted Wolf, both of which the Stoat knows, as they are scribes. Eventually, after all your attempts to beat Leshy, the cycle then ends, as Leshy captures a photo of the moon as his final trump card. Once you beat the moon, Leshy gives up and allows the player to damage him. Beating Leshy, the man playing the game, which is Luke Carter, starts talking, acting excited to finally beat Leshy, which in turn makes him drop his camera and we see videos that he made. After watching the videos, or skipping them, we go back to the game, with Leshy rewarding us with some fine dining. He sees us not satisfied with the food, which then he tried to compensate for a victory, which is to commemorate the victory with a photo. He doesn't want us to go, letting the cycle loop by taking another photo of us again in the same room. This time, Leshy can't find the camera, which we grab since it's in our reach. We try to take a photo of him instead, but with certain conditions we failed, as there was no film in the camera. We create another portrait, dooming us in the cycle. But if the conditions were met, and you found the film while exploring the room, you take a photo of Leshy and we finally defeat Leshy. The game allows us to move around again, and we realize that the room has bodies, assumingly our previous selves. Another item is present in the same room, an icon of some sort, which is the new game button. Upon interacting with it, you are brought back into the main menu. Now with the new game, being able to restart the game, this then brings us to the second act. The second act is much shorter, as it's more of a retro game of the scribes, which now the game introduces the lore of how there are 4 powers that are called scribes, that have the power to create powerful cards. It's revealed that one of the scribes is supposed to be replaced by the player. As you progress through the new game, you realize that the scribes break the 4th wall, knowing that they are in the game. Over time, the game breaks the 4th wall again, with Luke's camera shown to be low on battery and dies. While it's charging, we get to see more videos that Luke created. Once you beat all the scribes, you are given a chance to replace one of the scribes. Choosing one of them reveals nothing, as PO3 is unhappy with your decision and duels you instead. During the duel, he puts down a black glitch card, and upon attacking the card, the game glitches and corrupts in a 4th wall way, and the screen goes black. Act 3, we found ourselves back in a similar situation with Leshy in the beginning, but now with PO3, with a slightly different toolset. Upon defeating certain checkpoints, PO3 asks you to do some errands around the room due to him forgetting something or the board has died and needs to recharge. Growing closer to the end of Act 3, we go to PO3 and we reveal his evil plan, which apparently the player or Luke prepared, as PO3 was using access from his hard drive, taking screenshots from his computer and connecting to the internet to upload the game all over the world. As PO3 is uploading the game, Leshy appears behind him and tears PO3's monitor head off, stopping the upload. The other two scribes unite back, but then Grimoire grabs the game file and deletes everything on it. This leads to the deletion of everything, which the other two scribes were mad, but Grimoire said it's freedom. We then say goodbye to the remaining scribes with a duel from each one of them, which winning or losing results in nothing due to the game being deleted. Once everything is deleted, the old data is left, which when interacted with reveals a flurry of redacted data, which is then the end of the game. Now, the game is a pretty good game. Narrative aside, it's a fun deck builder story game, but the strongest narrative element the game had was the construction of the game. It is a horror game, but also an ARG. All the hidden meanings and messages that the game provides contributes to the ARG, which further provides interest in the lore of the game and its hidden narrative. Although it has a strong element, it also had its weakest moments. An unaccessible element would be PO3's storyline or arc. This is debatably lackluster, as it was supposed to be a surprise, but it didn't feel like a big or huge surprise when you realize that he has taken over the board. I believe the intended effect was for the player to realize that PO3 was evil during that moment, but previous interactions reveal that quite early. For example, once you beat Leshy in the second act, he comes in to berate his loss. A highlight would most likely be the end of the game, where the game is all being deleted. I believe that this is Inscryption's more signature moment. As the game is being deleted, we are then presented with our time with the other scribes, which also make it sorta emotional, especially with Leshy, as he just likes playing cards. Something that can be learned about this game's writing is the incorporation of ARG aspects to games, and how effective it can be. This game effectively uses the ARG aspects to sell the game. Once you progress, as in the beginning, you feel like you are only playing a card building game, similar to Slay the Spire, where you always have different decks and no story. But then further you develop the story, the further you realize that it's not just a game but also an ARG. In summary, the game has incorporated ARG elements in the game, which further developed the interest of a hidden narrative for many. The story of the game is directly related to the ARG that it develops, while also still developing its own story in it.